Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tacos and TECHquila. I am so excited. Today, we have the wonderful Al Martin. He is a worldwide VP of technical sales at IBM, where he's been the last 21 years. He is also
a long time, right?
Yeah, that's in IBM years. What is that? Like 50?
It's still a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not a spring chicken, I guess. That's what you're trying to say. No, that's fine.
No, you're making it. You're making it over there. But yeah, he also has a wonderful podcast. It's called Making Data Simple. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, everything like that. Definitely check it out. He's a really great way of mixing humor and sales tactics and leadership and data and everything like that. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. You're very persistent. And look, I got to thank you because, normally I would have a salad for lunch, but today, as you'll find out in a minute, I got to go get tacos for lunch. So
excited.
It's a benefit. So terrific. I'm glad to be here.
It's so funny. We were setting this up and I saw the email came through. I'm on my way to get the taco. ... I panic. I look at my calendar because I'm like, Al thinks we're filming right now. I pull over. I didn't even tell you. I pull over on the side of the road because I'm like, oh no, we're going to be filming. And then, so everything's all good. We're all good here. But
so you thought I was already ready to go, huh?
No, I was like, oh, I set it for the wrong time. So I got to go back. I got to go back home.
Fantastic.
I can't be going to the gym.
No, I got to plan my whole day around getting a taco.
100%.
I got it.
You got it.
Ready.
And we're super excited. We're going to jump in. I know he's been waiting a while now to eat this taco. There's really no rules. It's scale of 1 to 10, but tell us where you got the taco from and then what kind of taco.
You want me to jump into taco? Okay.
Yeah, jump into the taco.
I'll jump into taco.
And we'll get down to business after.
So here is the taco. This is the taco.
Wait, is that a bite already out?
I don't think that was a bite. Somebody may have taken a bite out of my family. Now that I think about it.
It's amazing.
But there wasn't supposed to be a bite in the taco.
That is so good.
This here is a fried taco. Do you ever have fried taco? I like fried tacos. Those are the best.
I've
They're
never had
probably
one
not all that healthy, I'm thinking.
It's a special day.
Yeah, well, when you're going for tacos, you don't go for health, right? You just go for a taco. So it's deep fried.
Okay.
It's crispy. The only thing is I've had this waiting for you. So it's got to be crispy normally because you don't want it to get soggy in the bottom. That's the worst. That's the worst. So, but as long as it's crispy, it's deep fried. Sure, the shell when it's deep fried surrounds the beef. You still got some veggies in there. Sorry to our vegetarian friends, but you got a little bit of veggies in there and a little bit of tomato. The spice, I think. Look, I am no expert at making food, but I'm an expert at eating food. So.
Yes, that's all you need. That's it.
Exactly. And it did look like somebody took a bite out of my taco. I'm very upset with it right now.
That was amazing.
So the spice is probably moderate.
All right.
Because I don't want to take away from the spices in the taco, but my favorite taco is from Manny's in Kansas City. It's downtown. It's called on a place called Southwest Boulevard.
Nice.
And that's where I go to get my favorite taco. Right there.
Love it. Okay, so we got.
You know what? They also have a fried burrito, by the way. That's really good.
I have not had. You would think out of my years of taco connoisseurness that I would have a fried taco. I've never had a fried taco before. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I got to get down to Kansas City and go to Manny's. Okay, so this is from Manny's, right?
It is from Manny's. Okay, correct.
All right, let's get a close-up shot.
Oh, I got to get a close-up shot. Well, now I feel bad because my taco's been waiting all day today.
That's true. So we give Manny's
there's your
credit.
Taco. Wow, and the bite. There does look like there's a bite out of that taco right there.
That is my favorite part of this. So which kid was it? That's what I don't know. Out.
That is very upsetting, and somebody's going to have some hell to pay. I'm going to find out who bit my taco.
All right. So we got a first bite, and then you review.
First bite. Hey, do you have a taco, or is it just me that has a taco?
It's just you. It's just you that has a taco.
Do you do a taco show and you watch people eat tacos? But you don't have your own taco.
I was explaining. So here's the thing. It is difficult because we're in two different locations, I wanted to review the same taco, but I want to widen my audience of the different kinds of guests. So when I was doing two people in Boston, I would review the same taco. So now when I have guests on, I let them showcase their hometown, and then I kind of do like side reviews, like when I don't talk about technology and just do the taco. So we're still trying to figure it out, but I am going to have a taco later.
Of course you are. You need to have your employer like send you to the locations where all your guests are.
I'm going to tell K-Force that
that's what I would do.
All expenses paid.
Yes. Tell them I'm quitting unless you're going to agree to this small.
I'm joining IBM. This is it.
Well, we'd love to have you. Come on, bring it.
Hi, boss. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. So you took a bite. What do you think of the tortilla, the filling, the spiciness? 1 to 10. I love that
taco. It's a good taco. It's a little cold though, because it's been sitting here, but otherwise it's a good taco. I would give it an 8.
Okay.
Only because I'm a hard grader.
Yep.
And look, I'm always up for another taco that's going to beat it. I got to leave it open, right? So if you've got a taco and I need to go back and watch all your previous shows to make sure I look at what's your favorite taco out of all the tacos you've had?
Good question. Okay. So I love Chilicates, it's called. So it's this hole in the wall in South End, Boston. Have you been to Boston before?
Oh, yes. In fact, I'm there on Monday. I should have brought the taco with me.
Wait, how are you there? All right. Side note, I will come find you. You know I'm persistent.
I know you are persistent. Yes. You probably will if you're going to stalk me now. That's great.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Are you coming for work or just vacation?
I am coming for work. I'm there on Monday and then I leave Tuesday afternoon.
Oh my God. All right.
I'm in and out.
All right. You're in it. Are you at the Cambridge location?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I'm going. You know it well.
See, I know it well.
Well educated. You're doing your job well. Awesome.
Thank you so much. You're like, this girl will be waiting for me outside of.
I will. That's all right. Good. We'll have a taco.
You'll have a taco. Yeah. Well, okay. So Chilicates is in the South End. So I used to live there, hole in the wall. They have one in South End, one in Mission Hill. Love their steak taco. It's not too big. Sometimes you get like these huge tacos that you're just, no, I like the 3 bites, you're done. It's steak. It has the green salsa. It has the pico de gallo, cheese, pico de gallo, the corn tortillas, homemade corn tortillas. So I think, are you a corn or a flour kind of guy for tacos?
I can eat both actually.
Really?
But I would probably, this is the opposite of you, but I'd probably go flour. I'm sorry.
All right. We'll continue on the podcast.
I knew it.
I'll let you.
You know why? Isn't it the corn that breaks? Like,
I mean, if it's not a homemade one, yes. So that's the thing. If you go to a restaurant, taqueria, that does not make their own, then yeah, because they just have them stacked in the bag. So you got to make your own corn tortilla from the masa flour, and that's you can.
Well, see, I learned something today, because if I had one that didn't break, I'd probably choose corn. But it happens, even you double it up. What ends up happening? I do it, and I just watch it go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so you can't get a fried taco that's corn. I don't think.
No, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I used to literally be at Rosa Mexicana. They don't have one in Kansas City, but I used to be behind the line. As I'm selling events on the phone, I'm making my own tacos. So that's how I would feel too bad to have the kitchen staff make me one, because they worked so hard. So, meanwhile, they're like, get this girl out of here. But all right. So you give it an 8. Manny's. Is it just Manny's? It's not Manny's Taqueria. Manny's.
No, just Manny's.
City.
Just Manny's.
Is there one of them in Kansas City?
There's one. There used to be 2, but I think they went back down to 1. Long story, but it's a big place.
Okay.
They got a downstairs and an upstairs. If you're in Kansas City, you probably know of Manny's. Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So I will post the link to Manny's.
They owe me money, I think. Don't you? Do I get any residuals?
This is sponsored by Manny's. No.
You're giving a lot of free publicity on tacos.
This will pay for the visual effects. We'll see. K-Force will get out of it. We'll see. Lord. All right. So Manny's 8 out of 10. I'm sure it would be much, much better if it was fresh. So next time I'm in Kansas City, I gotta check it out. More than just barbecue.
That's true.
That is the tagline of the podcast, not just barbecue. That's all I think of. That's all I think of.
No, that's pretty good tagline. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we'll talk business. Now we're gonna get very serious. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
So Al Martin, I mean, looking at his LinkedIn, I was like, what is his history? What's his background? He started as a software engineer. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you started at Oracle, right?
No, I started at Cerner, but Cerner's owned by Oracle now.
Okay. I saw the little logo. Okay. So you started as a software engineer. Is that what you thought your career path was going to be? I mean, talking about being now a VP of sales at one of the largest IT organizations, consulting firms in the entire world. Can you walk us through how you got to the point that you are, going from, the technical side to now the VP side of sales?
Does anybody really know the path that they're on? I certainly didn't know. I didn't know. I was I was getting through school. My dad happened to be an electrical engineer. So I thought if he could do it, I got to prove that I could do it and do it better. I don't know that I did it better, but I did it. And then I, straight out of college, the opportunities that were out there were mostly software. So, Cerner at the time, they're local here in Kansas City. They give you a test or something like that. And then obviously I passed the test and I jumped onto Cerner and I said, well, let's give this a try. Yeah. And they were a healthcare tech, or still are. Yeah. I think, like I said, Oracle just purchased them. But at the time, I think I don't know how many people they have today, but I was like 970.
Wow.
So if I would have stayed there, maybe things would have been great. Yeah. But I moved to a company called Informix that developed databases.
Okay.
And among other things. And then they were acquired ultimately by IBM. So you never know where you're going to go. I think my brand is 3 things that I've come to learn. I didn't know this day one. I think it takes a while to figure out who you are. At least it took me a while. Maybe if you know who you are, then that's great, because I'm still trying to figure it out. Anyway, I think my brand is a leader, which is really a coach. It's clients and client success. I call it client obsession. And then third is technology, which is data, because I really got into data when I went to Informix and worked for a data company. But since then, I've handled all kinds of technology. Okay. And what I often say is, the client I've earned, the client success I've earned, technology I've earned, but I think in terms of a leader and coach, you're always earning that, right?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, and I love how you say client obsession, because it really is. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to get the attention, trying to build relationships or even just getting the sale, and it's like, you almost have to be, in my opinion, think of yourself as an extension of the company, like you're a partner of them, and that's, I literally, I was telling Al before, IBM is one of my biggest clients. When I'm writing, I literally wrote a message the other day and I said, hey, Katie here with IBM. I'm not with IBM, and it's that, it's that thought, and it got me a laugh, but it's that thought of like, how can I be an essential part of their success so they can't really, get rid of you, so to speak, so I really like that, the client obsession part. And something that I wanted to add to, I was listening to one of your podcasts, and it's, you said something of like, there's a lot to be said about having energy, and I can tell just from the last.
You're good there, by the way. I think you're really good there. Yeah, you got the energy, but keep going.
But I do think it is interesting that, I don't know if you feel this way, but going from the software engineer to, to the sales side, it is a lot of people probably saw your energy too, of like,
that could be true. I do have a lot of energy. I think energy is infectious.
Yeah.
And if people are passionate and genuinely passionate about something, that becomes very infectious.
Yeah.
Like when you introduced me to start the call, I mean, if I was to I lead technical sales. I'm a VP of technical sales.
Yep.
But if you take a step back, you peel the onion, I would say I create trusted client relationships. That's my goal. And I do that through demonstrating how to solve problems through IBM technology. And then that'll create value for the client. It'll create value for IBM, and it creates trust, mutual trust between both.
Yeah.
That's what I think I'm in the business of doing in this position. And almost everybody's a seller, I think, at the end of the day. It's just now that I have the title of seller.
So to get a little bit more into, I know we rushed into the taco, but what you do for IBM. I know, I'm so excited for the taco. I was like, we'll do the intros. I'm like, no, taco. But so I guess to take a step back, worldwide VP technical sales, what is that? I know you gave a little bit background, but you can.
Well, it's as look, we take care of all clients, and at the end of the day, we're trying to work with clients, convince them that we have got the technology that's going to solve their problem. IBM, the great news about the size of IBM that you mentioned is that we've got a platform that crosses all different technologies, from automation to AI to Z to data fabric. I'm going to miss one and somebody's going to be upset. But sustainability, I could go on and on. Storage systems, all kinds of stuff. So we've got the solutions that are integrated to help solve client problems. But look, this is a show, not tell world at this point in time. So it's my job to take the technical side of the sales process and make sure that we're showing and not telling. And again, it goes back to the trusted client relationships.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to create.
Yeah. And I think that to have an ability to have that relationship, that'll make you stand out. At least that's what I found, because I'm not, I'm not someone that's very advanced in the technical side, but I know how to make a relationship, and I know how to, solve a problem or tell them, hey, we can't solve this problem, so I think that's really cool. In terms of mentorship, I mean, it is always a topic. I feel like I'm always trying to find a new mentor or figure out, should it be within the company itself? Should it be outside of my company? Can you tell us a little bit about, when you were growing up in this, in this career, who your mentors were and how you found them? And then I guess today, how do you still continue to find mentors at such a high level?
Well, going back to, there's always a mentor you can find, by the way, but going back to how I got in this position, I've been lucky enough, but I work hard. So it's one of those things where hard work meets opportunity that defines luck. But I've had good mentors. I've had good coaches. IBM's been good to me in terms of a company that allowed me to do many things. Like there's many different startups within IBM that most people may not consider. So I've held a number of different roles, but I think everybody should have a mentor. And I think mentors come in different forms. There's many different, like if you went online, you'd see, hey, there's, I don't know, a network mentor or whatever. There's all different kinds of mentors, but I'd say it depends on your specific situation. I'd have one for skill. I'd have one for career. I'd have one for networking. I'd have one to be strategic in my career path as I move forward. Meaning if you got somebody that's a mentor in your existing company that has influence over the next position you want, why wouldn't you have that as a mentor? Because if they're successful in being a mentor, then they just get you in that position. Yeah. So some of it's strategic. And so I think you need to, my advice would be to have mentors inside and outside of your place of employment. I don't think you can have too many. Yeah. And I think, one thing you got to do is always ask yourself, who holds your card, is what I say. In other words, inevitably someone is there to speak on your behalf when you're not there. Yep. And if you've got mentors, they're speaking on your behalf, or they should be. Otherwise not,
Yeah.
And it's going to suppress, your progress forward. But the one thing I would add, I do believe in coaches too. Very important, which is a little bit different than a mentor. And so for me, like I got many people that probably some of them are informal, some of them are formal. Yeah. So I have many, but I've got like 3 formal mentors. I would say that if you called them up, they said, yeah, I'm a mentor. And then I have a coach. I had 2 coaches external to IBM. Now I have 1 coach external to IBM. But that coach is really good because it's more a work-life integration around, corporate coaching. In fact, she has a graduate degree in corporate coaching. And so like we talk about all different kind of things that relate to work-life balance, how to tackle difficult problems. Yeah. Look, it's amazing to me that like every sports team out there, if you didn't have a coach, they'd be like, what kind of team is this? Yeah. But then you get in the professional world, no, we don't need a coach. You've got to have a coach. And I pay for it, but it's worth it. Now, one last thing I would say, there's a lot of people that call themselves coaches. And so you got to be careful about that. I think you got to know what you want the coach for, and then examine their experience, because even certifications sometimes don't matter. It's kind of like Home Builders of America. You could get a home builder certification, never build a house. So I would look for experience. I'd also look for their training. Does it align? And then you can determine whether that coach is right for you.
That is interesting. I've heard of like life coaches, and like all that. And I feel like that's kind of getting more popular like in the last couple of years, but I've never really thought about, the career coach side, because all of my mentors have just been internally in my company, and it's been more informal, and, as I grow and they grow, then, it can like sizzle and fizzle out. So it is interesting. So where did you find the mentors, I guess, outside of IBM and the companies that you were at? Is it just people in your life that, you run into? Is it former clients?
Yeah, well, I if I'm impressed with somebody, if I'm impressed with them, if they know something or they've got a talent that I don't feel like I have that I want to better, I will choose them, or knock on their door and say, will you serve as a mentor? Can I meet with you? But sometimes I don't even call it a mentor. I said, hey, would you mind if we hook up like once a month? I'd like to talk about different business problems, etc. If there's somebody that I think are strategic to the next spot that I want to go, I'll work to have them be a mentor. And then I already told you about the coach. I mean, that's something that I look externally looking for to solve business problems. The other thing, like if you get a certified coach, I mean, again, it doesn't have to be certified, but there are like different, I don't know what I want to call it, like science that they can put behind it. In other words, there's behaviors they can assess, what kind of, whether you're dominant, you have influence, steadiness, or compliance, figure out where you are on the spectrum scale, where your emotional intelligence is. One way or another, it helps you figure out, where you're strong, where you're weak, what you need to improve on, and also how to deal with other people that may have different profiles than you do.
Yep. It's so funny. Our director did it's like personality training, and it's all, it is. Cause it's like, who are you dealing with on the client side, on the candidate side, and you're going to have to shift the way you talk to people and the way you interact with them based on, what they are. So that is interesting. I haven't thought of the coach side. But I definitely think in terms of the mentorship, it is important, and it is in terms of networking too, because no one knows, what avenue you want to go to in your next route unless you speak up. That's what I found. And in my past jobs, they've been like, oh, I didn't even know you were interested in that. And I'm like, I think it's so obvious, so it's definitely a way to, make yourself known. I don't have an issue talking to people. So it's always,
no, you're good at it. Yeah. You're good at it. But I think the other thing that'll help you if you're ever looking for a mentor, first of all, show up and ask. All they can do is say no. Most of the time,
That's
everybody
true.
wants to help, right?
Yeah.
And they'll jump in. But the other thing, how you can solidify it.
All right.
All right.
We're back at it.
We're back.
We're back at it. There's probably been some lag. But yeah, okay. So asking people to be a mentor. I'm actually really happy that you brought this up, because I think a lot of people, including myself, get, I meet people and I talk to people and I'm like, I want what they have, but I just don't know how to ask. Is there an actual way to ask, or is it literally just saying,
I say, will you be my mentor? I mean, there's no more science in that. You know what? Yeah. I think you have to be, first of all, you have to be vulnerable enough to know that you don't have what they have right now.
Yeah.
And admit that, hey, they've got something that you desire and you don't have, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to know it all.
Yeah.
And then just ask. Like I said, a lot of times I just say, hey, can we meet on a monthly basis? I'd like to talk and learn from what you have to offer. And then, like I said earlier, is I offer to do a side hustle a lot to help them do whatever they're trying to do. That kind of cements the deal, because if they do give you a side hustle, then all of a sudden you're working with them on a regular basis, and like you're cementing the relationship.
That is a very good idea. Yeah. And that side hustles everyone's got to have a side hustle in some capacity, at least this day and age with everything.
You don't want to get overloaded, but
yeah, that is a very good idea. Cause and I think in terms of, I guess for you with your past mentors, is there, one in particular that you've kept throughout the years, or does it change every few years depending on your position?
I think it changes, but once a mentor, always a mentor, meaning it just, the frequency probably changes. Meaning I may talk to them once a month. You kind of graduate outside of what they're giving you or whatever, or what you're giving them. And then it becomes you want to keep the network going. You want to keep the relationship going. So like it may go from a month to a quarter, and then, hey, I ping them once a year or something to see how they're doing.
Yep. No, that is good.
All good.
And speaking of like going through the different, I guess, management levels, and, for you as the engineer and data, and then getting into IBM, a lot of the millennials, as we like to call them, and, people that are, late 20s, early 30s, are kind of finding themselves now in this middle management position, including myself. And, we have to go from being a peer to our colleagues to now going into the management level. Did that happen to you? If so, how do you recommend gaining the trust and the respect into more of a, the management role rather than just the peer-to-peer?
So are you talking like a first line management role?
Yeah, the first line management. So I have for me, I have two people under me that I manage, but I'm also a producer. So it's the player coach role. So that, I don't know if you've done that before. That's an interesting.
I've done about it all, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm sure, but so, but before that, I was just another, I still am just another bozo on the bus. And, now I'm offering their, management support, and, I'm trying to game plan them on how to get new clients, and, have to give constructive, feedback and stuff like that. So I feel like sometimes there is this level of when people go from, just an associate to now first line manager, how do you bridge that gap of like, okay, I'm your manager now?
Well, look, I have a lot of philosophies on this, actually. By the way, you said the bozo on the bus. I doubt if you're the bozo on the bus, but you might be the energy in the bus. And there is a great book called The Energy Bus. I think.
Oh, really?
And it's really good. It's
really
I gotta
good.
Get that. Something I would recommend.
Awesome.
But I think the first thing, now, look, I deal with, most of the folks I'm working around are technical. And one thing, if they come to me and want to be a manager, I want to know why. Because they're a very marketable if they're very technical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the way I would say that is, I want to make sure that you want to become a leader, not just a manager, meaning like 80% or more, I think, of the technical folks are marketable.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to be pretty lousy technical these days if you're not marketable.
Yes.
However, on the leadership side, I'll be aggressive and say that 80% are, managers are managers. They could be a dime a dozen. But if you can place yourself in that 20% that are really good at leading people, influencing, when you look back, people are following you because they want to, not because they formally report to you.
Yeah.
Then you have something special. And if you could take that up to the top 5%, I mean, the sky's the limit. Yeah. So what I ask folks when they come in is, where do they think they really are? Are you comfortable putting a target on your back? Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable delegating, etc.? Mm-hmm. I can give you some other attributes that I think are very important for leadership. But the first thing I do, I want to vet them so they don't give up something that's very marketable to get into something that seems great, mm-hmm. and they put themselves into la la land and they become less technical, and they're not really meant for true leadership, mm-hmm. of leading people. And then they get stuck in the middle, and they kind of they slow down their career one way or another.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought the technical side. I work with technical people every day, and to find someone that is both, the client facing technical side and someone that wants to be a leader and has amazing technical skills, it usually does not coincide, so it is to have that, that
would you rather choose somebody that's really technical? I mean, you would know this better than anybody, or a manager?
I mean, the technical people, I love them because it's like, they know head down code. You got to get, this, you got to get a project done. The client has a deadline, you have a deliverable, they're paying you millions of dollars. You need someone they don't need to talk to the client. That's, so that's the main difference there, where they can get the work done. They can get the work done fast and good, high quality. But then once you put in, when Mark tells me they got to be client facing, that's when I'm like, cha-ching, cha-ching, it's going to cost you, because it is. It's very rare to have someone, and when I stumble upon them, that someone that has the good technical skills and they can explain it to the client, that is, I'm like, I'm grabbing you, I'm sending you out to every single manager that I know, we're going to get you the job. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, something that,
I think leadership is the easiest thing to do until you become a leader. Then it becomes the hardest thing to do.
It is. And I've been like the player coach before. It's, it is interesting because I'm someone that, and I think a lot of people in sales, I'm addicted to sales. I have that personality. Like I'm going to start, I came from not recruiting, not tech at all, and I'm like, I'm going to become a top producer. And I am now, not to speak, so highly of myself, but it is that mentality of that.
That's the mentality you need, by the way. So that's good. No apology.
So it is definitely. And I said, what did I say? I said to my director, he said, it usually takes 2 years, 2.5 to 3 years for people to ramp. And I'm like,
okay, no. We'll get it done in 6 months.
I literally said, looking back, I'm like, who am I? But it is true. Because I know that about myself. I will get it done.
Good.
I will figure out some way, but it's now that I have other people that I'm managing, it's, that I have to there is some time that I have to take away from just thinking about myself and thinking about my numbers. And now I have to make them, help them get successful. So it definitely is that someone asked me, are you looking to go more into the director level? Or are you looking to just be, a top producer forever?
I think it's hard to be that player coach.
Yeah.
In fact, Michael Jordan was interviewed one time and they asked him, they said, why haven't you ever been a player coach? He goes, because if I was a player coach, then I wouldn't be 100% focused on playing. I'm not going to coach anybody else while I'm playing. I'm playing.
Yep.
I got to be the best.
Yep.
So I think that's difficult. But if I was to give you, my, there's no secret sauce here, but if I was to give you my advice is I think the frontline manager or first line manager is the most important position because they have a direct impact on the business. I would say it's okay to be the boss.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like the term boss, I think you work for your team. All leaders, good leaders work for their teams. I think the best leaders create other leaders. I think the best leaders are approachable, vulnerable, genuine. They ask for help. By the way, if you don't ask for help, then new projects won't typically come your way because when you ask for help, that allows folks to kind of expand out, and you're able to expand your network. You're able to expand your thought process. You're able to get new projects. I think you got to walk the talk. In other words, don't ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't do, and you need to do it regularly.
Yeah.
I think you got to have a growth mindset. You want another book is Carol Dweck. Fantastic book, Growth Mindset. If you haven't read
Growth Mindset. Okay.
Delegate, listen. One of the best listening questions that I have is just, tell me more, say more on that. And they keep going. I'd celebrate victories. I would, another book, I'll fill you full of books today.
Yeah.
Brene Brown, Dare to Lead. Fantastic book.
Yes, I've heard of that.
The 3 things that she says that I love. She says that people don't care how much you know until you know how much that you care. Well, I kind of butchered that. Let's see, try it again. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
She'd say clear is kind. You got to give honest feedback. I think when you give feedback, though, you got to give like 80% constructive or positive. I should say, let me restate. 80% of the conversation should be positive, and then that 20% could be the constructive feedback that, hey, we need to do this better or whatever. I think as a manager, you've got to be able to take feedback to heart. As they say, you take feedback through the heart, take feedback to heart. You don't take feedback through the heart. In other words, be welcome. And it's a gift to get that feedback. And then the last thing Brene Brown says is she talks about being in the arena, showing up, being in the arena. She has she don't care about anybody in the cheap seats. If you're in the arena, you're getting things done. If you're getting things done, you're going to make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, that's fine. But you're out there. Those are all the things I think strong leaders do. Yeah. Easier said than done, though.
I know. It is true. And I remember when my director called me and he said, we're going to make you a market manager. I'm like, do I have a choice? It's like, no. And I do. I enjoy helping people. I know that about myself. I also know I love closing a deal. So it's that give and take of like, which one is one going to get old, so thank you for those book recommendations. I'll put them in the chat too. And then speaking of like making mistakes and just, learning opportunities, as we like to call it, with your so many years at IBM and being involved in the client side, what is, I guess, one story or an example of a client struggle where something just went totally left field and, you had to turn it around and save the relationship?
I don't know about saving the relationship, but I do everything else probably. I mean, like you're working with clients as you do every day. Yeah. And there's always some problem. I'm a problem solver at the end of the day. That's where, that's where the electrical engineering comes in. I'll give you a story that I always think of for some reason.
Yeah.
When I was first starting out, I was in technical support. I was in advanced technical support. I mean, they wouldn't call or it wouldn't come to my desk unless it hit the fan, so to speak. And I'll never forget, I had this one customer call. I've been doing this for a little bit, but it had hit the fan. What they had done is, I think let's just put it this way, they were a government entity, and they had deleted their database, like intentionally. I mean, in other words, it's like you going in your PC and erasing everything, and then calling support and saying, hey, I erased everything. I need it back now. And I'm like, but they deleted it and they didn't have a backup for or the backup I think hadn't been running for like 2 weeks.
Oh
These are the same people have backups that they keep going and then they forget to check them to make sure they're still backing up. That was one of those things.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was serious. I mean, this person called me and they were crying on the other line. I mean, it was, and they were, it was a bad deal because it had to deal with a lot of money, tax stuff, different things like this anyway.
Yep.
So they were freaking out. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? At first, then he got off the phone or he got pulled off the phone. I think he might have get pushed out. Then another person comes in about the same. Both of them were crying. I'm kidding you. They thought it was that bad. And so I'm like, what's going on right now? And then, so the inside, I was thinking, you guys are screwed. But on the outside, it's kind of like, and you got to deal, or at least I often use this analogy because I think it's fitting. You got to deal like you're in the ER or something. Not to take away the people who are doing these life and death situations, but I think for this guy it was life or death, and we do deal with some of those in tech sometimes. Anyway, first you gotta calm the clients and get them to settle so you can really assess the scope of the problem. And then it's about like what we started the podcast, the video cast you have here with is I got to gain trust. And I think the only way to gain trust is to clearly set expectations. And that can be done through a plan. In other words, if you don't have the fix yet, you say, look, here's what we're going to do. I need X number of hours to take a look at this. I will call you at this time. So stay tuned. I'm on it. Don't worry about it. Here's what we're going to do. I'll come back to you with these 3 things and you go for there.
Yeah.
The thing is, and this is a true statement, I've honestly never seen a problem that can't be resolved. One way or another, it works out.
Yep.
One way or another. You'll either solve it directly or there's another way you can solve it through an indirect way or something once you know the full scope of the problem. Anyway, in this case, we worked on it and I use people around me too to be successful. I'm not afraid to phone a friend. And in this case, there was a gentleman that was really good at moving bits and bytes in memory, if you can believe that. We ended up sending this individual. It took 2 weeks. The short stories we sent this individual to the customer on site for 2 weeks, and he literally, when you delete something in a computer, that's what they say, it's still there. You just got to put the pointers back to point back to where the data is. So he walked through it for 2 weeks and redid all the pointers, and they got all their data back. Took 2 weeks, but ultimately it was think about that. If you do that for a customer, they're like indebted to you.
Yes.
At that point in time, they may even pay more in the future for you, but they're indebted because it's like this person came at my worst time and bailed me out. So that was like one I think of when I was first starting out.
Yeah, it is interesting to look back and see it like that. And I feel like in those moments, because you get hit with those issues. And at least for me, my first reaction is like, oh shit. Like
that is mine too, but I just don't say it out loud.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay.
I'm sure the doctors do the same stuff too, but they're keeping it inside going, this looks really bad.
It really is. It is the emotional intelligence part of this job is, I mean, it's no, in my opinion, it's number one. It is because clients will the same thing. I had someone just not show up for work, and they're calling me, the project's delayed. Where is this person? And I'm in my mind, I have no idea, but I can't say that. So we're trying to find them too, and I think it's how you can resolve it at least, and that for me is, that's how I gain the respect, because there's always going to be something, whether your product is a software, a service, or for me, it's people, I'm literally legally selling people that are doing a service. So there's always going to be something that comes up. And I think that's what I love about this job. And I'm sure, you do too. Yeah. There's every day is a new possibility. We had someone new join yesterday, and she's like, I hear this is very stressful. And I was like, no, don't worry. I was like, just keep it going. I'm like, the highs are really high. the lows are really low and you just ride with it. It's just, it's the roller coaster, but I appreciate you being on here, and thank you for waiting so long to eat your taco. I'm so sorry someone took.
No,
maybe ask one of your kids or someone in your family how the first bite was, but we got an 8 out of 10 for the deep fried taco for Manny's in Kansas City. Very, very good deal. And then last but not least, I really want to emphasize the charity that, that you're working with, that you represent. So I'll let you kind of finish it with that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you asking. Yes. First of all, I'd love to have you on the Making Data Simple podcast as well.
I would love it.
We'll do that and have a chat and continue this, and we'll both chomp on tacos. Maybe have a beer while we're doing it. I don't know. You never know. That would be good.
Yes.
Anyway, so thank you. The charity that I'm very passionate about is called Here to Help. Mm-hmm. Here to Help KC. You can look it up at heretohelpkc.org. Mm-hmm. The best way I can describe it to you is, imagine if you had a baby and then you found out, usually they do tests right away, but that your newborn had, hearing issues during the screening. And then you come to find out that insurance rarely covers any of these lifetime costs around hearing aids and other expenses associated with a hearing loss. There are a couple states that mandate it, that force insurance companies to cover it, but most don't. I live in Kansas. They do not.
Wow.
And hearing loss is the most common, I think it's the most common birth defect in newborns, affecting like 2 to 3 out of every 1,000 babies.
Wow.
So it's a shock.
Yeah.
And it happened to me in my case. It happened to my daughter. Mm-hmm. I didn't no hearing loss in the family, so I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And look, I probably would say, not counting like some of the peripheral things, I probably spent $60,000 on hearing aids when you think of FM systems and stuff like that. And look, we came to know about this when my wife, we knew it with my daughter, and then she was working at the school, and she was testing kids for hearing aids and glasses, whether they could see or not. And these kids didn't have it. So she was coming home in a panic because she knows how detrimental that is, because we have our daughter, and then we said, we got to do something to help. So then we worked and partnered with somebody and Here to Help KC. And what we do is we provide financial assistance for the costs associated with hearing aids. And they've got to essentially submit a request, why they need it. And there are some on the right conditions, we'll cover it all. Some we partner because we want some vested interest with the requester. Yeah. So that, somebody doesn't sell these things or something like that.
That's true. Yeah.
Because right now, both of them, each one's like 2,500. So both of them, you're like talking 5,000. And you usually upgrade every so often, like I've done with my kids. So it's something I'm very passionate about.
That's amazing.
And if anybody would like to contribute, help,
yes,
try to have some fun around it. It's here to help KC.org. We'd love to.
And I will put the link in the bio too. That is
fantastic.
That is very surprising that I just figured insurance would cover. Like, why wouldn't they? But so that's a great organization. That's amazing that, that you're able to help out with that and promote it. So I will definitely put it in the link, and anyone interested in looking at it and contributing, definitely feel free to check it out.
I appreciate that.
So thank you again. This has been a pleasure. What a great way to kind of ride into the weekend. And I know. So
fantastic. I get to go finish a taco too.
I know. I was gonna say, that's the part about it that, like, when I was doing it just myself, I would order like one Uber Eats taco, because I'm like, I don't want to leave my house. I'm like, and it would be like $20 for one taco, and then my friend's like, why don't you just order like a meal and then you can have it later, spend the same amount. So, but during the filming, you only do 1 or 2 bites, and then the taco's just sitting there. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your.
It'll go to good use. And I will find out, maybe on our podcast, I will reveal to you who swiped a bit of my taco.
Please,
a bite out of my taco.
Report back.
I will.
Well,
okay, it's going to be investigated.
Side note: Monday, You're gonna be in Boston. So we need to meet. I will come meet you, eat a taco, grab a coffee, and I
Taco and
will
coffee. Fantastic.
Taco and a coffee. That's a weird combo. That's a weird combo. But maybe
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it
out. But
I will be in Cambridge.
You'll be in Cambridge. Oh, yes. I love Cambridge. Cambridge is great. Yes. Good taco. Naco Taco. That's where.
Naco Taco.
And I think it's near the
IBM. You know them all. You got Boston covered.
I know. I think I've reviewed like 25 of them at this point. So yeah, it's I should do like a recap of like top to bottom. What's the best? What's the worst? But
you need to be sponsored by tacos. Somebody that's making tacos.
No, I know. They had
but then that way you couldn't be maybe objective though. Because then you've got to.
That's true. That's true. I want to be very objective.
Careful.
I
taco
tend to
sauce.
Taco sauce.
There you go.
Well, I tend to lean. Sauce. Yeah, that's true. I know. Yeah.
That applies to every taco, right?
Yeah.
So it's a condiment.
Yeah.
You're fine.
And so I tend to lean more towards like the like I'm like, this is great. I had one that I literally could not say was good. Because I mean, the small businesses, COVID, I'm like, I don't want to say anything is bad. Like, but when I was like, dude, this is so awful.
I'm having an awful taco today.
I'm like, this is such a bad taco. I go, maybe their burrito's better, just always spinning it. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This will be uploaded very soon. I will send you all the links and everything like that. And enjoy the rest of your taco. And yeah, I'll be in touch if we can make meeting happen. I would love to.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.